So last week anyway, we've had the discussions for collocations and everything the last week. So this week I plan to finish off talking about, not talking about, we'll do the exercises related to that for this class, right? And maybe next week I know that this about there's 1 or 2 weeks that remains for your finals. So I would wish to take up also a class on stress and aspiration and syllabus. So I think that should be the last one that we'll do for this course, for English one, that is, right? So let's start off for today. I'll share the worksheet with you now. So for today's class, we'll try to finish up all those three different qualifications that we talked about in the last class. If there are any questions and confusions, we can take it up as we solve it, right? Just give me a moment and please confirm with me once you can see the screen clearly. Okay, right. Is the screen visible to you? Okay, okay, thank you very much. So I think we can start for today and you can read the question meanwhile. It's very simple. If you have followed the classes in the last week clearly, you can understand what has to be done here, right? So we'll be doing the exercise in three parts, which means we're going to have the word collocation exercise part 1, part 2, part 3, all of them on three different types of collocations that we discussed. So the first few exercises, 2 or 3 of them are going to be on lexical collocations, which means you're going to see the combinations of those 6 word classes that we discussed, which are the most prominent collocation methods. The first one, which is sheet number 7, this is going to be on grammatical collocations, right? So let's do the first exercise. The rest of the details we can discuss as we move along the exercise, right? So the first one for you, you have 2 boxes there on your screen. So one set of boxes, which is onto your left-hand side, right? That uh, has a bunch of words. They're all what? They're all adjectives, right? And towards your right hand side, you have another box, which is a smaller one, and those have prepositions, right? So we are going to look at a combination between this adjective and prepositions. Now, again, this is a word plus combination, but remember, this is a grammatical combination, right? So whenever there's a functional category involved, right? What are functional categories? Functional categories are word classes like prepositions, conjunctions, articles, right? By functional class, I mean these are basically the kind of words which are functional in nature. They don't have a real life reference. You cannot point out to anything in the real life and say that, okay, this is to, or this is for, or this is of. Unlike, say, the other word classes like nouns or verbs or adjectives. There's no direct reference point to such words, and hence they are called functional words, right? So words like prepositions, conjunctions, articles, they fall within that category, right? So whenever you have a word class, another word class in combination with the functional word class like a preposition or conjunction, it's more often than not a grammatical collocation, right? But if it is between two, you know, open word classes like nouns or adjectives, verbs, so to speak, then they are basically lexical collocation, right? This is not a very important information, but just to make you understand the difference between what lexical and grammatical collocation would mean, I just said this, right? Because some of us can wonder that preposition is also a word class. Then why aren't we categorizing this one under lexical collocation? And why is this a grammatical collocation? The reason is prepositions are basically functional classes. And functional classes are more important in the syntax or grammar of the language than any other part, right? Okay, I hope I've made myself clear, but if you have any questions, you can stop me here and ask the question, or else we'll continue with our exercise, right? So I think for the ease of answering the questions, what I'll do is I'll just copy these and paste it in your chat box so that, when I scroll up, you can still access the document and, sorry, the answers. So okay, there are some people in waiting. I'll just accept them and paste this. Okay, so here's the list of your adjectives. And just give me a moment, I'll paste the other one as well. Okay. And paste. Right, so the first set is of the adjectives and the second are of the prepositions. We're going to make combinations between them. Remember their grammatical collocations, so not every possible combination is allowed. So, okay, conventionally not possible. So look at each of them. We are not going to just simply make the combinations. We're going to look at a couple of these sentences to understand the context better. So I'm scrolling up because I've already given you the options in the chat box. Let's answer the questions straight away, right? So first sentence, um, she was dash her friend because she had a better dress. You should be able to make a combination from the two boxes of which I have shared the list in your chat box. Look at them and make a combination between. So people who have joined right now, I am going to reshare it. Um, right, Ahmad. Uh, she was jealous of her friend because she had a better dress. Is that okay? Do others agree, or do you have some other options? Any other answers? Anyone? Jealous of looks right to me. Any? If you have any other answers, you may. Okay. So now that you say jealous of, another question to you: can I say jealous for, or jealous on, or jealous at? Can I say jealous at? Maybe on and for would be a straight away no answer. Is jealous at an option? You can unmute yourself and speak. Please don't wait for me to mute you. I hope you're all able to do that. Isn't that so?
Jealous of.
Jealous of, but the question is, can I write jealous at instead of jealous of? No, right? Because it's a wrong collocation. Whenever you have the word jealous, the word that should follow it automatically should be jealous of, right? Not jealous at, right? I am stressing on this part of jealous at because this is a very common error that you find in the Indian writings, right? The Indian English version, so to speak. Not Indian English version, the errors that you find in the Indian subcontinent, right? One of it is jealous at. So this is the wrong usage. It has to be always jealous of, right? Second one, the waste paper bin was dash crumpled sheets of paper. For people who have joined now, please refer to your chat box. There are options for both the combinations of adjective and prepositions that you're supposed to make. They're pasted in your chat. Please refer to them and come up with an answer. I'm looking at the chat box for the answers, but I would appreciate if you can turn on your mic and speak to me. The waste paper bin was dash crumpled sheets of paper.
Full of.
Full of, right? Full of, right? Full of is a good answer here. The waste paper bin was full of crumpled sheets of paper. Now, some of them are very common. I know some of the combinations that you're going to make here, they are very common. It's easy to answer. But there are certain words which you can go wrong on, right? So this is basically a mixed bag. So full of is an easy one. Full of crumpled sheets of paper. So full goes with of. Third one, this computer is dash producing sophisticated graphics. This computer is dash producing sophisticated graphics. Okay.
Capable of.
Uh, okay, right. So is capable of a better choice or good at a better choice? The answer is capable of. Now, I want you to tell me why you cannot use good at. Why can we not use good at?
And good at is usually used to refer to any human being. But
Correct,
computer
right?
is
So good.
not.
Absolutely. That's right. So usually when you use the expression good at, it is usually used along with an animate entity, right? Something that is a human being or something which is, I mean, for a person, right? We do not use it usually for a thing or something that is inanimate, right? So if it's a person and you're talking about the capability, then it is good at. But otherwise, you have to rely on other expressions like capable of in this case. Okay. So capable of, it cannot be capable at or capable for or capable on or capable in. It is always capable of. Right. Now, fourth one, the town is especially dash its elegant architecture. The town is especially dash its elegant architecture. For people who have joined now, uh, I'll give you the options again. These are prepositions. Famous for, okay, let's say famous for is the answer. Is there anything else you think that would be suitable here? Okay, so for the time being, maybe let's say we'll take the expression famous for. Okay, the town is especially famous for its elegant architecture. But could you run through other options that we have? Not proud of, Praveen, definitely not, because again, just like good at, no, proud of is also an expression that is more connected with human beings or things that are related to that. Like you can say you're proud of your culture or things associated to the human races, but not something that is animate, right? So we will take off the option of proud of. Famous for sounds good, but could you run through and see if there are any other options that you think may fit? Just quick 5 seconds, that's all. You don't have to spend too much time. Aware of? No, not aware of. Right. So for the time being, we are going to retain typical to. The town is especially, no, not typical to. Okay, let's call it the first choice for us, famous for. Then we'll check if we have anything else that fits in there, right? For the time being, we're taking in the town is especially famous for its elegant architecture. Okay, let's move on. We'll see if there are better options. We'll fill it up later. Fifth one, I felt very dash making such a stupid mistake. The first part of it is right, but not the preposition. What is the grammatical collocation? Yes, of, right? So it has to be ashamed of. I felt very ashamed of making such a stupid mistake. Not ashamed for, it's always ashamed of, jealous of, proud of, right? Sixth one. After weeks of preparation, the hall is nearly dashed the grand opening. Others, we could also try. After weeks of preparation, yes, right. So, um, ready for, right? After weeks of preparation, the hall is nearly ready for the grand opening. Okay, correct. Ashok, you're right. Ready for the grand opening. So, ready for, not ready of or ready yet. Seventh one. Could you add this up for me? I'm not very dash at maths. Yes, Suhani, right. Good at maths, right? So why good at here? Because you're referring to yourself. You're talking about your capability, which is by extrapolation, what you mean is that we're talking about a human being and their capability. So good at. I'm not very good at mathematics, or I'm not very good at maths. Right. Eighth one, who is dash writing those words on the wall? Who is dash writing those words on the wall? Responsible for, right? Correct. Responsible for. All three of you are right. Responsible for. Okay, not responsible of. Again, responsible of is a commonly found error in write-ups or speech that we get in the Indian subcontinent. Responsible for, always. Who is responsible for writing those words on the wall? Ninth one. She was so dashed her nephew's achievement that she couldn't stop talking about it. Is he? No, not jealous of. If you're jealous of someone, then you probably won't be talking about it. It says she couldn't stop talking. Yeah, proud of. Proud of. She was so proud of her nephew's achievement that she couldn't stop talking about it. Right? Proud of. Right. Tenth one, it took some time to get dash the slower pace of life in the country after the frantic atmosphere of the town. A little longer sentence, you can, yeah. Accustomed to? Yes, correct. So it took some time to get accustomed to the slower pace of life in the country after the frantic atmosphere of the town. So accustomed to, okay, always accustomed to, that is the collocational usage. I'll scroll up the document a bit. Right. Next one, we try to eat food, which is dash the region in which we are traveling. Okay, correct. A part of it is correct. Right. So a question at this point to you, is it typical uh, to or of? Do you say typical to or typical of? Or is it for? Because you have all the three usages. Like there are people who would say typical of, typical to, and typical for. Yeah, nobody? Yes, you should tell me that if it is typical of, do you say we try to eat food which is typical of the region in which we are traveling or typical to the region? The usage, particularly of typical of and foreign to exist, it's not a wrong usage, but the point here is you're supposed to decide on whether it's for or typical for. Would you say typical for? So if it is typical for, then what follows after it should be something, right? Not a uh, place or anything. It has to be some object, right? Then you use typical for. So that is out. We cannot use typical for here. But between typical to and typical of,
Typical of is more accurate, I guess.
okay, and why so? Why not typical to? So you have to give me an example which would take typical to, or also tell me if typical to is correct at all. Have you heard sentences with typical to?
No, ma'am, I don't think.
No? Okay. Anybody who there are because there are people who have answered typical to, so you might have heard it in some context, right? I'm just trying to understand it from you. Right. Typical of is typical to is meant for animate humans. No, actually, typical to you can find that usage in certain directories, but it's not a very formal and an accepted usage. Okay, these days, because of certain confusions in phrasing, people may accept it. But remember, typical of is the correct usage, right? Even when they're using it for people. animated this. It's typical of somebody. It is typical of him to behave a certain way, right? This particular art form is typical of this region. It is typical of, yes, it is typical of. Typical to is not actually a right usage, right? So whether you're referring to a person or a place, it has to be typical of. This kind of behavior is typical of this class, okay? Or the example that we have here, we try to eat food which is typical of the region in which we are traveling, right? Are you dash any region from the options that we have? Do you think of anything? Yes, there are few left in the chat, right? You can check it. Aware of, correct, right? Are you aware of any reason why we should be late? So aware of. 13th one, they built nuclear power stations so as not to be dash coal as their main source of energy. What could be the answer? So as to be, so as not to be dependent on, right? Dependent on. Correct. Okay. Uh, Next one. This is not really dash our discussion. So can we get back to the main point of the meeting? What is it? Relevant to, correct. Relevant to, right? This is not really relevant to our discussion. So can we get back to the main point of the meeting? Correct. So not don't use relevant for. This is a very commonly found error. Relevant for our discussion. So can we? It's always relevant to. He sleeps with the light. 15th one, he sleeps with the light on because he's dashed the dark. Afraid of? Yeah, this is very easy, right? Afraid of the dark. He's afraid of the dark. And the last one in there, be careful what you say to Scott. He's very dashed criticism and sulks for days. Answers? This is one left. Sensitive to, right? So sensitive to, not sensitive of, right? Again, another mistake that you see in the in our context, which is the Indian context, is sensitive of. He's sensitive of something. No, sensitive to something. Like you're always sensitive to something. So these, I hope you understand what we mean by grammatical collocations now, right? So we've had all these prepositions now, to, for, of, in, on. They're all functional words. So combination between a word class such as adjective, which is an open class one, and something like a preposition, which is a functional word class or also called as a closed class, uh, is basically the combination in a grammatical collocation, right? And these are fixed. They are very strong collocations. You cannot break them. You cannot have anything else coming in its place. Their bond or their flexibility is very less, and it's a very strong form of collocation. Anything else that you try to bring into that equation is going to make it grammatically wrong. Okay, right. So we'll move on to the next exercise. Still a moment, I'll scroll it down. Now, the next one is also, again, this one is between adjectives and adverb. Can you tell me what kind of collocation this is for at least the people who have attended the last class, the ones who were here? So when you are looking for collocations between adverb and adjective, what kind of collocation is this? Is it weak or strong? Do I have you here or am I speaking to uh, just screens? Do we have people around or not?
Can you please repeat what you are asking?
Yeah. My question is, we had discussed this in the last class. If you suppose were around in the last class, what kind of combination thus adjectives and adverbs form. You know, there's a name for it, like the earlier one was grammatical. This is what, for people who are around it, this is called a lexical collocation. Okay, forget about that. But tell me, is this a weak form of collocation or is it a strong form of collocation? Is the bond strong or the bond weak? What do you think is the possibility? It's a, you know, the strength is medium when it comes to the adverb and adjective combination, right? So there is a restriction on how many words you can, for example, have with the adverb deeply, right? There is a certain set of words, but they're not numerous. It's not as much as, you know, something like an adverb, adjective and a noun combination, right? Adjective and noun combinations, you can have no numerous combinations with whatever given the word is. Although even that is not right, we'll look at that in the next exercise. But generally, the combination between adjectives and nouns are way more higher than, say, adverb and adjective, right? So, if that's the case, we can call that the strength is medium, right? Remember in the last class, we talked about strong, medium, and weak collocation. So, this maybe we can categorize under the medium strength collocations. Okay, all right, enough of that. We'll look at the questions now. So I'm again posting those options in the chat for you, right? So you have adverbs in that given box. You have deeply, fully, heavily, highly, perfectly, seriously, strictly, thoroughly, totally, and widely, right? All of them are in your chat. And we're going to look at which one of these adverbs are suitable for the given set of adjectives in each of those questions. Right? Ready? So let's look at it. First one, different, frank, committed to, unacceptable, opposed to. Which adverb do you think will fit with all those adjectives in the first question? Okay. Honey says totally any. Okay, someone's Praveen says totally. Ashok says highly. Okay, so we'll check with both of them, right? So how will we know which one is right? Because there'll be at least one combination which will not be a commonly used one. That is where we know this is not a collocation. So you can say highly. Can you say highly different? The first word itself is a little problematic for the word highly, right? We don't say highly different, but we can say totally different, right? So let's say between highly and totally, I'm going to choose totally. So totally different is fine. Totally frank is okay. Totally frank is fine. Right? It's fine. Totally committed to, is it okay? That's also okay. Right? Totally unacceptable, fine. Again, it's a fine combination. Totally opposed to, that is also a possible combination. Right? So totally seems to fit with all the given adjectives here. It doesn't seem like an off quoted combination. And while you are choosing the words here, like we discussed in the last class, see if semantically that kind of combination is possible, right? That is, it can actually give you a meaning. It shouldn't look like an odd combination, right? So totally for the first blank, all it fits with all the adjectives here, so we can choose that one. How about the second one? Confidential, limited, forbidden, necessary, true. So totally is now out. You can, but okay. I also say that totally is not okay. Fine. All right. All right. Okay. There's again highly. Someone Praveen says strictly, and then there's fully also. Okay. Let's see. Um, yeah. You can check and tell me. See if strictly goes with everything. Let's take strictly first, and then we'll move on to others. Which one is the which are the two words which you think are very commonly used with strictly? Strictly forbidden is one, right? So you're strictly forbidden from doing something. Strictly confidential also? Yes, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So if it fits for those two, then probably that's the case for other also, which means maybe that combination is not as frequent and as common as strictly confidential and strictly forbidden. Maybe you don't see it as often, but still it's a possible combination. It's not wrong, right? Semantically possible it is. Meaning wise it's possible. So strictly confidential, strictly limited, strictly forbidden, strictly necessary, strictly true. Okay. So some of it, some of you would be wondering, I haven't heard the other combination. That is totally possible. And it's also because they are not as frequent as other combinations like confidential and strictly forbidden. But they do exist and they're grammatically fine, right? They are collocationally fine, sorry, not grammatically. Right. Third one, automatic, aware, justified, ensured, comprehensive. This will be easy. Fully, right? At least if you know fully automatic, correct. All of you are right. So fully automatic, fully aware, fully justified, fully insured, fully comprehensive, right? All of them. All of those adjectives go very well along with the adverb fully. Fourth one, dash, clear, happy, understandable, safe, reasonable. Okay, I get perfectly from people. So can we check with perfectly then? Perfectly happy, perfectly safe, perfectly reasonable, perfectly clear, perfectly understandable. Highly happy. Do you say highly happy, Ashok? I don't think that's a good combination, right? There's a semantic restriction on that.
Ma'am, we can say highly reasonable.
You can say highly reasonable, true. Maybe it has some medium levels of qualifications, but how about the other words? It should sit well with the other words also, right? Those words are given there to show you there's a reason why these many words are included. It's to show you which adverbs fit most appropriately with these words, right? So highly reasonable could be okay, but can you say highly understandable or highly happy, highly clear? No, right? It's not a possible combination. So you need to find something which is well enough and good enough for everything else in that group.
Ma'am, can we
This is
not
how
say
you need
highly
to.
safe?
This is how. Sorry, I'll let you speak. This is how you should work on questions on collocation. So there could be combinations of words which look okay for you, but questions related to collocations are always about the most appropriate answers, right? So I think perfectly is fine in this case, like others, no, a few of them have mentioned. Perfectly happy, perfectly reasonable, perfectly safe, or is there anything else? Let me look at it, run through. No, I think perfectly is fine. Perfectly clear, right? Perfectly clear is a very commonly used word. So perfectly clear, happy, understandable, safe, reasonable, right? Goes well. Fifth one, built, guarded, armed, dependent on, influenced by. Not thoroughly, not deeply. Correct. So people who are saying heavily, that's the right answer. Okay. Heavily built. It's a very, very commonly used expression. Even heavily armed, heavily guarded. Okay. Heavily dependent on. These are all very commonly used expressions. And when I use the word commonly, I think you understand. This is why they're collocation, right? Frequent usage of combination of two words. That's what makes them a collocational pair. So all of these, heavily built, heavily guarded, heavily armed, heavily dependent on, heavily influenced by, right? They are a good combination. Sixth one, dash, infectious, probable, skilled, profitable, put together. This one is easy. Yeah, Praveen. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Two people say highly. Anybody any other answers? This is actually easy. Answer is highly. Okay. Yeah. So you're also right. Highly. So highly uh, infectious, highly probable, highly skilled, highly profitable, highly critical. Right. All right. What about the next one? I'll just scroll it up. Give me a moment. Right. So you have miserable, professional. So seventh one, miserable, professional, ashamed, spoiled, unpleasant. Answers. Uh, yeah, what are the answers? Thoroughly. Okay. Uh, Thoroughly spoiled, thoroughly professional. Deeply is not the answer for sure. What other options do we have? Not these. We have seriously, thoroughly, widely, deeply. I think these are the only ones left, right? So, yeah, what will be the options for you? Not seriously, not highly. Okay, let's say thoroughly, right? So thoroughly miserable. Now the clue here is the word professional. You say thoroughly professional, right? Or thoroughly ashamed, thoroughly unpleasant. These are more commonly used expressions. The others may not be as even thoroughly miserable also. Others may not be as frequent and common as the others, but that is a possible combination. But thoroughly professional, thoroughly uh, miserable, right? Thoroughly unpleasant. These are all common expressions. So we can join in miserable and sorry, ashamed and spoiled also to the group. Thoroughly for seventh one. Next one is ill. Eighth one, ill, wrong, worried, injured, weakened. Seriously, right? So seriously injured. That's your clue. Seriously ill, seriously wrong, seriously worried, seriously injured, and seriously weakened. Right? Clue is the word injured and ill. Seriously is usually the adverb which goes with it. So everything else can also take the adverb seriously with it. Ninth one, dash, disappointed, impressed, suspicious, shocked, relates. What is the answer to this one? Ninth one is deeply. Correct, right? So the clue is the word religious and shocked, right? Both of them most often than not take the adverb deeply. So deeply disappointed, deeply impressed, deeply suspicious, deeply shocked, and deeply religious, right? And the last one is, of course, what? Widely. Widely differing, widely accepted, widely known, widely available, widely respected, right? So this is how you can build your word. We have used not weak vocabulary, but say I would say this would belong to the not A2, but at least B1 to B2 levels of vocabulary. Certainly not advanced vocabulary. Say somewhere between A2 to B1 are the words that we're dealing with now could be at that level. So you can use the same technique to advance your vocabulary further, right? So like I told you in the last class, learn the language in chunks. Don't just learn individual words. Learning in chunk is what will help you retain the vocabulary better, right? Okay, so we'll move on to the next exercise. I'm just going to close this particular sheet and open the next one for you. Just give me a moment. Okay, you're able to see the screen, right? Clearly? Yes? No? Yeah? Everyone? Okay. So see, this particular exercise is just to introduce another part that we have discussed in the last class about how there are restrictions on forming word collocations, right? And I hope you remember from the last class the example that we were discussing was beam with happiness and beam with pride, but not beam with gladness. Remember this, right? At least for the ones who were in the last class. So we also discussed how gladness and happiness could have similar shades of meaning, yet in when you're using in a phrase, like when you're collocating it, you can't say beam with gladness, but you can say beam with happiness, right? So fall in love, but not fall in hate. Although, they're opposites, but they belong to the same category of the positive and negative adjectives, right? They perform the same kind of work, although in negative and positive sense. But even then, you cannot say fall in hate. You can only say fall in love, right? So in this part, we are going to look at some such examples. So on your screen, you have the adjectives good and bad and the modifier nouns food, girl, work and day. So take a look at that and tell me uh, if you can use the word good with all the four words that you have there. So by which I mean, can I say good girl, good food, good work, and good day? Are they possible combinations? And I'll please, request you to unmute yourself. When you're answering, it's fine, but when we are discussing things like this, I would like you to speak a little bit because it's tough for me to otherwise understand whether you are comprehending what you're saying. Okay? Are they good combinations? Can I say good food, good girl, good work, good day? Is it okay? Or do you think there's a problem? There's some problem with the meaning. And remember, these are lexical collocations, right? So adjective and noun combinations. Yeah, is my question clear? Or do you need any clarity on that? I'm only asking, can I say good food, good girl, good work, good day? Are they good combinations? I didn't hear you clearly.
Yes, ma'am, they're good combinations.
They are good combinations in the sense they're very commonly used expressions, right? How about bad? If I replace the word good with bad, bad food, bad work, bad girl, bad day. That also sounds fine. Yes, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes,
these
ma'am.
are examples of, okay, thank you. Uh, these words or these combinations are basically examples of adjectives and nouns. Remember, I told you that the collocational bond between adjectives and nouns are the weakest, right? And when I say weakest, I mean exactly this, that you can have as many combinations as possible. So I am sure you can think of at least 25 other words if I ask you now, which can go with the word good and which can go with the word bad, right? It's possible, entirely possible, right? You can replace food, work, girl, day, and can find another 20 words easily right now, even without thinking too much. Same goes for back, right? But this may not be the case with all kinds of adjectives, and we're going to discuss that exactly. I'll just scroll down a bit. The second example is also, sort of suggests the same thing. Like I can say easy method, easy book, easy person, easy design. I can also say simple method, simple person, simple book, simple design, right? So these are all weaker collocational forms. We are going to look at this one. We are more interested in what you see on the screen, right? The first question there, heavy and weighty. Can you give me some nouns that you can collocate with the adjective heavy?
Heavy ball,
Heavy ball. Okay, good. More. Other time for you to comment, the ones who don't want to speak. Heavy. Other combinations.
Heavyweight.
Heavyweight. Okay. Heavy ball, heavyweight. Heavy furniture. Yes, good. More. A heavy body, right? Heavy
Heavy
bag.
humiliation.
Heavy humiliation. Okay, not wrong, but we'll keep that aside. We look for more common combinations, right? So something like heavy bag, a heavy cup, or heavy satchel, right? Right,
Yes, ma'am.
right. Ah, heavy book, yes. heavy chair, heavy table, right? So I can go on. So this is again, this looks like a combination which is like, good girl, good day, good bird, so on and so forth. Numerous possible combinations are, allowed with heavy. Look at the second word, weighty. Can you come up with some collocations for this word weighty? What does weighty mean? What does it refer to? So this is like your happiness and gladness, right? They have shades of similarity in their meaning, but they're not exactly the same. No two words have the same meaning, keep that in mind. They can have shades of similarity. They could be similar, but not exactly the same. So heavy and weighty work similarly, but then what can come with weighty? Okay, then yes, that would be one way of understanding the word weighty. Weighty also means voluminous, right? Or something that has heavy influence in that sense, right? So can you give me a few combinations with the word weighty? No? Okay, let me start with one. Okay, weighty consideration. I hear the committee is rendering weighty consideration to your proposal, right? Which means they're considering it really well. Weighty consideration. Can you come up with something more? Weighty message. Okay. Maybe we can say weighty matter. Okay. Instead of weighty message, we can say weighty matter. So weighty consideration, weighty matter. I'll give you one more. Weighty subject. Yeah. You are giving me the meaning. I'm asking for the collocation with weight. We have three weighty lecture. Okay. Let's see. And what would that mean?
Ma'am, a
Important
lecture
lecture.
which is highly important.
Okay. Okay. I haven't heard of a usage like that, but let's say we can do that, right? So weighty lecture, weighty subject, weighty matter, weighty consideration. Anything else that comes to you? Weighty issue, right? So if matter is possible, then you can maybe probably use the word issue also. Weighty issue, right? Weighty topic, weighty tone, right? Uh, Now let me ask you a question. Between heavy and weighty, which one had more possible combinations? Did heavy have more combinations or weighty have more combinations?
Heavy.
Heavy, right?
Heavy.
So heavy looked like a more commonplace adjective. It had a lot of combinations, possible combinations. So this is a weak collocation. Another question. Can I say weighty bag, weighty book, weighty chair, weighty table, all that thing that you use with heavy, no? Can I use that with weighty?
No, ma'am.
No, right? So this is what I was saying, that even though they have similar shapes of meaning, you cannot probably collocate the same words with both heavy and weighty, right? Heavy has a separate set of words, which is like almost everything in the world, right? Numerous numbers of them which were forming combination with it. Weighty had its different set of words, which is forming combination, right? Now, this is because of the difference of the collocational strength, right? Weighty, second point was also that weighty had very few words which could form combinations with it, but heavy had a lot of them, right? So among heavy and weighty is the more collocationally strong word when found in a collocation, right? So I think both the points are conveyed properly. Let's do one more example. We may not have time to look at each one of it. You can, these documents are uploaded. You can practice through all the questions that are written in this. But for our class, we'll take one more. Fat and thick, right? Do you agree that they have almost, not almost, they are similar in some sense to each other, right? Fat and thick. So can we come up with some words that can uh, be collocated with the word fat?
Fat boy, thick pencil.
Fat boy. Fat boy. Well, let's first do fat, right? So fat boy, and what other words can you collocate with fat? There are many. This is like fat people. Okay, fat boy. Come on, let's do that quickly. Don't take too much time to think about it. Right? These are easy. Fat people, fat hen. Okay, fat pigeon. Okay, something beyond this, beyond the one that you have here. No, it's very easy to come up with collocations in fat, right? Please think about it. Fat first, okay? More the ones that are more common. Anything, right? Fat dog, fat man, fat person, fat child, right? Anything is possible with fat. Just not trying to come up with anything. Fat lips, right? Fat ankles, right? Uh, a fat fridge, fat pantry, right? Fat pants, fat meat, right? A lot of such possible combinations are allowed with fat, right? How about thick? Somebody mentioned something with thick pencil, right? Okay. More with thick, a thick jacket, a thick wall, thick wood, thick crowd, thick forest, right? Thick blood. Hmm? So same thing is with fat and thing as is with heavy and weighty. So you will have more number of combinations with fat than you have with thick, and between them the stronger collocational word would be thick, right? Although there are shades of similarity in their meaning. You probably cannot say fat forest. You can only say thick forest, right? There are shades of similarity, yet the words that are collocated with either fat or thick are not interchangeable. You cannot do that, right? Please do the same exercise with the word happy and cheerful, right? This should be, I think that will make you understand what we're discussing further. But I hope the point is clear, right? Um, how much time do we have? Right. I think we can continue for another 5 minutes. Let's move on to the next verb. Verb and noun combination, right? This should also be of interest to us. What can you use with the word play? So it's a verb and a noun combination. So play has to be followed by a noun. What can you write here? Play. Not well.
Playboy.
Okay. So it has to be technically a noun phrase, okay, not just any noun, which means it has to be play the or play or something, right? That is what will make it a. So playboy and PlayStation and all that, these are not collocational, but they're simply compound words, right? You're basically just forming a compound between words, not playground also. So let me give you an example. Play the cards, right? Play the fool. Right? This is what I need you to provide a noun phrase, right? So which means it should have an article, either a or an or the. That is what will make it a collocative term. The answers you're giving station ground, no, that will just make it a compound word. That's not what we are looking for. And also play and ground and play and station, they're not two different words. They would be combined together to form one. So play the guitar, play the musical instrument, play the fool, play the cards, right? Any other examples that you have? There are tons of them actually, a lot of them. I just gave you three. Play the music. Yes, very good. Then, okay, play a sport. Okay, fine. Play a game, right? Play a game. You can replace it with some, not cricket and football. Again, you can't say play cricket and play football, right? That's not a collocation. That's simply a putting together of words, compound. Play the video, play the show. Okay, yeah, that is possible, but again, not a collocation. More? Just give me one more, and we'll move on to the next one. Play lead in the movie? No, I don't think you. Some of you haven't caught on to the concept yet, right? We're only using a noun phrase, not a noun alone, not the word alone, right? That is going to just give you a compound. We are looking for a collocational pair. So it has to be a noun phrase.
Play a trick.
Play a trick, yes, very good, right? Play a trick. That's also a good answer for the collocation play. Okay, let's look at the next one. Run. For the interest of time, run. I'll give you an example. Run a show. Okay. Give me some other few more examples with run. Run a business, right? Run a business, run a show, run an errand, right? These are all examples with run. There are more. I'm just trying to give you. Run a library is okay, but not run the music. That's not the right way. Now set, no, not set fire. It's actually set on fire. So that's not uh, correct response. Set the alarm, right? Set the alarm. Set the tables, right? Uh, uh, Set the table, set the alarm, right? Set the fence. Anything? Someone trying to answer? Now what about break? Next one. You can
Break the
find more
silence.
examples. If we sit with it, I am just going to have to take a lot of your time. That's why I'm just trying to finish that. Break,
Break the silence.
break the silence, break the ice, right? Break a leg. Right? What's break a leg? It's an expression.
It means all the best.
Break a leg is not all the best. Yeah, you're right, Ashok. It's an idiom. But what does it mean? Break a leg? What would it mean? Nobody, sir?
Break a record.
Break a record. What is break a leg? It means good luck. Okay. And they're also, as a phrase, it's also used to refer to dance, right? But here it's good luck. Yeah. And yours was what? Break a record. Yes, that's correct. Break the ice, break a record, break the silence, right? They're all good examples. Catch, the commonly used one. Catch fire. Maybe not that one.
Catch a cold.
Catch a cold.
Or
Catch a cold. That's correct.
chill.
Yes. More. Catch a glance. Right? You catch a glance of someone. That's another example. Right? No, 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 don't give me, catch fire. See, I told you, right? This is why I very clearly mentioned noun phrase, not just the word, right? So you need to have, when I say phrase, it needs to have a determiner in it, either uh, a or an or the, right? That's how collocation works for verb and noun. Earn, earn,
Earn the money.
Earn a
earn the money,
living.
earn a living, earn the money, yes. Earn a penny, yes, correct. Okay. Earn a place, right? Earn a rank, all of that. Pay, next one is pay. Pay. So let's begin. Pay a visit, right? Pay a visit. Now let's pay the fee of whole visit. Then more like it, pay a homage, right? You might have heard that expression, pay a homage. Then pay a tip, right? All of that are examples. Next is keep,
Keep in touch.
not keep, right? You're bringing in preposition. We want only determinants, right? So yeah, keep the change is fine. That's fine enough. Then keep the ball rolling, right? That's also mean keep the spirits high, right? All of that. Then throw. Next one is throw. Begin with throw a party. Throw a party. Then throw a party. Throw a prank. Throw a tantrum. Right? Any more that you have to add from your side? Throw a fit. Right? FIT fit. Throw a fit. That's also another example. Okay. Now the last one is save. Save is one expression that's very common these days, right? For a save the date. That's there. Save the date. More, let's say, save a tree. Not really.
Save a life.
Save a life. Save a penny, right? Like you commented for the other one, right? Oh, so save the penny, right? More. Anybody else?
Save
Save the
resources.
trouble. Save the trouble. Sorry, what was it? I didn't hear you.
Nothing. Save resources.
Oh, okay. Not as much as the co-location, but save the trouble is one example then. Save the story, right? All of them are examples of verb noun combinations. Remember, when we talk about verb and noun combinations, the noun here is a noun phrase, okay? Which means it needs to have one of the determiners, a and the, right? That is what we make it a proper uh, verb plus noun combination of collocation, right? All right. I think we are well past the time. So before we start off with the new topic next time, we're going to finish off this exercise. A little bit of it remains with uh, the adverb adjective combination. This is just to show you how gradable and non-gradable adjectives and adverbs part. Okay, so we'll take that up. And then a final thing is dialecticalized verb. So just one exercise on that and we can wind the times. Okay. All right. Any questions, anyone? Or can we wind up for the day? Yeah, save the face is a good example. Yes, that's good. Nothing? No questions? Okay, then
Ma'am,
we'll
where
meet
do
next
we
week.
get the notes for these classes?
I think they're already uploaded. You can check your supplementary tab in the dashboard for this course. And all of these materials, I think the slides are also uploaded. You can access it there. Okay, Ashita.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, all right, everyone. We'll see you again next week. We'll continue with this remaining activity and also take up the class one aspiration syllable and stress. Okay. Thank you for joining and see you all.
Thank you.
Thank